I was gonna say, like, I was gonna just explain it now, like when we started, be like, you don't even have to do much. Just sign in with your regular Gmail. You don't need a YouTube account. All you have to do is sign in with your Gmail, go to YouTube, and hit subscribe. Like, it is that easy.
Yeah, let's just leave that in there. Let's just start it now. We'll
Okay.
leave that in there. That's simple enough.
Well, then you just said
start the show now. Just do it.
All right, welcome to the fourth episode of Last Take. Before we start and really get into things, make sure you subscribe to Last Take. It is as simple as using the Gmail account that you already have, going to YouTube and hitting subscribe on our page. It is literally that easy. You do not need a YouTube account. We have not gotten any inquiries about that. I just feel like that needs to be explained. So like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, I'm convinced we should have at least 500,000 subscribers by now.
Yeah, we've been doing this, 4 weeks?
Yeah. We've gotten literally dozens of views, so we deserve more than 3 subscribers.
Yeah, a couple baker's dozen, minimum.
Yeah. Minimum.
So the biggest news coming out of football this week was the sort of shocking Sunday night stinker game. Everyone kind of expected a bit of a quarterback battle, but, you expected Tom Brady to really take over that Saints game. And it was actually the opposite. Drew Brees, played amazing. Tom Brady kind of stinks. Is mocking Tom Brady elder abuse? You said it first, Nick.
Yeah, that is my kind of question on the day on the board back there. I'm not going to mock him too much because he is 43 now, I believe. So I do feel bad making fun of the elderly. It's just not okay. If you would have told me in January that there would be a Sunday night football game, Bucs Saints, in which Jameis Winston would play and the Buccaneers quarterback would throw mind-numbingly stupid interceptions, I would have said, all right, I guess the Bucs re-signed Jameis and he threw some bad picks. If you would have then told me that Tom Brady would be on the Patriots and he's the one throwing the mind-numbing interceptions and Jameis Winston comes in relief of Drew Brees and eats the W, then my mind would have been completely blown because Tom Brady looked awful last night, and we've seen him play for a long time. And listen, I know he's not what he used to be, and I obviously like to jump on him when he doesn't play well, but he was legitimately terrible last night.
Yeah, and it's funny because every week they're just like passing the touchdown record back and forth, and this is a chance to kind of see it like front and center. And then Drew Brees, like everyone's like, oh, Tom Brady's the GOAT. Clearly Tom Brady's the GOAT. It's not a doubt. But it's like you see them both playing at this age, and it's kind of like they're throwing around records, and Drew Brees just kind of stomped on them, and really just kind of took control of who's the best 43-year-old quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yeah, as good as it is to see both these guys still playing, because whenever guys that we grew up with watching retire, that always makes me feel pretty old. So, yeah, I like that Tom Brady and Drew Brees are both still playing, but I'm so sick of this stupid touchdown record that they keep trading off week to week. Nobody cares about it. I'm going to come out and say nobody cares about it. This isn't the MLB home run record. Like, no one cares who threw the most touchdowns because you can't, compare it era to era. Like, guys, I'm pretty sure Phillip Rivers is in the top 10. Like, no offense, Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback, but you're really gonna put him top 10 over guys like, I don't know, like Dan Marino that threw, I don't know if he has more touchdowns than him. This is a terrible example.
Yeah.
But the passing touchdown record means nothing, especially when these guys are just passing it back and forth to each other every single week. Like, it's so stupid. I'm ready for them. As much as I want them around, I'm ready for them to retire so I can stop hearing that someone's broken the record. We all know Patrick Mahomes is going to end up with it in 15 years anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, how much cooler would it have been? Because I've said this before, and I think it would be a good discussion one day for us. But the home run record is the coolest record in sports. I think, maybe you can make an argument for championships won and stuff like that, but I think
not even that, because
individual statistics,
you're in the same thing where you can't really compare that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How cool would it have been if Bonds and Aaron were battling it out for the home run record at the time? If you want to count Bonds,
yeah,
that would have been 10 million times better than Tom Brady and Drew Brees throwing this touchdown record back and forth every week, as if anyone cared.
Yeah, that's what made 1998 so special. That's why it was such an electric season, because you had it was the single season home run record, obviously, but two guys going back and forth for one of the most coveted records in all of sports was unbelievable. ESPN still managed to fuck up the documentary somehow because they suck and just not even mention steroids until like the last 15 minutes. But yeah, that was unbelievable, that home run race.
That wasn't wildly important to the storyline or anything. Why would just leave that out? That's fine. We'll put that in.
Yeah, it was mostly just protein powder. But I do have one more take that I've been sitting on. I actually tweeted it out last night. I think a lot of people agree with me. The New York Giants broke Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know they didn't win that game, but you know, like when if like you're trying to open a pickle jar and you can't get it all the way open, and then someone else comes over and just opens it right away. You say, well, it's only because I loosened it up for you.
Sure.
The Saints were only able to stomp on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because the Giants loosened up the metaphorical jar. So Drew Brees, New Orleans, you guys are welcome.
I wish that wasn't such a good take, but that's actually like a perfect analogy. And switching over to the Giants, I mean, are they good? Are the Giants good at football?
The Giants are good in the sense that they can stay in every game. Like if you look at what Joe Judge has done, aside from the 49ers game, they've been in every single game. Like they are pretty much losing by single digits, which if this was a experienced team that expected to win now, you'd say it's an issue. But considering how bad they've been the past 3 seasons, you have a second-year quarterback, the Giants stay in every game, which is really good to see. I would like to see them complete it and win some of these games, especially against teams like, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Bears. They were all winnable games that came down to the wire. At some point, you're going to need to see that result start flipping. But listen, Daniel Jones is 4-0 against the Washington football team. I'll take it. They're still, as crazy as this is, I feel like this was, it was a couple weeks ago. We had Austin on to talk about how much we hate Evan Ingram and how that drop pass lost the Eagles game and ended the Giants season. We are right back where we started if the Giants can win at the Eagles next week. Or I'm sorry, at home against the Eagles next week, because then they would be a half game out of the division, as absolutely preposterous as that is. So I don't want to say the Giants are good, but I think in terms of how bad the NFC East is, they're right there.
Do you prefer the hope that they could be successful, or would you rather be like I just want to check out? You know what I mean? Like, because don't get me wrong, the Giants aren't doing anything if they do make the playoffs. They're losing in the first round. Yeah, like let's get that straight. Listen. But like, do you like the hope?
Of course. I'm not delusional enough to think this team's going to win the Super Bowl. I threw $2 on them to win the Super Bowl to get 500, just because that's odds. That's math. You got to do it. But no, I've been rooting for the tank the past 3 years. Last year, after they went to 0-4, I was like rooting for them to lose every game. Not like hard, obviously, but I was like, I don't care if they win. And they still messed up that tank because I wanted Chase Young, and they ended up beating Washington in Week 15 in overtime for legitimately no reason. So, no, even if they don't make the playoffs, like I'd rather them win 4 or 5 games, like get Daniel Jones playing well, like get these guys to learn how to win, take some pride instead of just the shittiness that's come with being a Giants fan the past couple of years. Like I'm over tanking for the draft pick. They picked in the top 6 in each of the past 3 years. Like you're not going to get, there's not one guy where it's like, yep, like bring him in, because you're not getting Trevor Lawrence. I'm not 100% sure I'm ready to give up on Daniel Jones anyway. There's other holes on this team that I kind of want to address before, when we don't know if quarterback is essentially a hole or not. So yeah, I want them to win some games. I'm not tanking for the pick at this point. I mean, maybe if they lose to the Eagles and the season is officially over, then maybe I want them to lose a couple games. But no, I've rooted for the tank the past 3 years. I'm over it. Regardless if they have a chance at the playoffs or not, the Giants got to learn to win some games. And I'm glad. Listen, it's a start. 2-0 against Washington is a start.
2-0 against Washington. 0-7 against everyone else.
So Daniel Jones in his career, he won his first start at the Buccaneers. And then since he's 4-0 against Washington and 0-16 against everyone else. So,
jeez, I mean, if you just you cross a few T's, you subtract the I. Yeah. You do some algebra, and then some trigonometry, and he's a pretty good quarterback.
Exactly.
I don't know. I said it earlier. I want the Giants to win that division. As a Seahawks fan that doesn't really care about what happens in that division because, again, no one out there is winning. But, like, the Cowboys are atrocious to watch. Sure, I mean, somehow I'm sure they'll pick up another win or two, and who knows, that might be enough to win the NFC East. But I don't want to see the Eagles again. I think that they're just such a non-entertaining team that like the Giants are fun to watch because they're kind of a train wreck, but like they're also kind of good. So like you see something stupid happen, like Daniel Jones falling when he's supposed to definitely be scoring a touchdown. But you also see something cool happen, like beating the Redskins and him making really good throws. So I don't know. I'm all in on the Giants.
Here's your difference. I'll tell you right now why you feel like that. The Giants, you think this team sucks. You have no expectations. Daniel Jones is a turnover machine. So when they end up just coming close, you're like, not that bad. But the Cowboys, no matter what quarterback they're on, like their fifth quarterback at this point, they're still the Cowboys and you expect them to be good. So they're a letdown. And then the Eagles, you're like, isn't this just the same team that was in the Super Bowl like 3 years ago, even though they actually fucking suck just as bad as the Giants do? You have higher expectations in your brain for those other teams. So the Giants are like being pleasantly surprised by Chef Boyardee, and then the Eagles and the Cowboys are you go out to eat and they serve you Chef Boyardee. It's all the same shitty ravioli, but your expectations are just wildly different.
A ravioli analogy.
I've never actually eaten Chef Boyardee.
That might be a first ever.
My first one ever, so that's what matters.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So speaking actually of your Seahawks, I want to take this opportunity because I think this will probably be the only time this season where one of our teams wins, one of our teams loses, and I'm on the winning end of that. Yeah, so
this might be the last.
Seahawks were terrible, and I've been on the record with you. I've said it on the show, I believe. There's so much pick to come out of the NFC just because I don't have a ton of confidence in, the Bucs. I know the Saints just put the beat down on. I don't love them. And I'll always trust Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks ever in my eyes, if not the best ever. That defense is just such a shit show, though. Like, take me through the game because I didn't watch really more than what I saw in Red Zone.
So I'll start with this. I don't want to say I'm psychic because I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And, take me step by step here. But I always have a sixth sense when the Seahawks are going to lose. I don't know if I'm just crazy, and I just think that after they lose. But I had a weird feeling against the Cardinals, and I said it to a few people. I'm like, they're gonna lose this game. Like this was at like not like halfway through the game. It was at like 1 o'clock that day. I'm like, don't bet on the Seahawks tonight. Like I got a weird feeling about it. I said the same thing about the Bills. That I don't know if it's like a matchup that I can just like instinctual. But I had a weird feeling the whole game. It just something just felt off. And the game started bad. It was 17-0 coming out the gate. So we had our top corner out, and Quentin Dunbar is our second corner, and he played hurt the entire time with a bad knee. So I mean, when your third cornerback is playing as your best cornerback, you're going to get beat, especially against the team like the Bills, who's got Josh Allen, who played out of his mind. He was like 23 for 25 at some point. It was just stupid. And then, they have a lot of good weapons in Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, even what's the tight end, Kevin Knox, right?
Kevin Knox is on the Knicks.
Who am I thinking of? Oh, Dawson Knox. I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew it was Knox. Yeah, I don't know. Wow, Kevin Knox.
Wild that Kevin Knox came into your brain because I think of Kevin Knox in like my nightmares most nights. But.
Yeah, well, he was part of my nightmare yesterday. So, I mean, Russ played bad. We also don't have our two running backs. So, the injury bug is legit right now to a degree. It is hitting us. But it still doesn't discredit the fact that, our defense is really, really bad. Jamal Adams, I'll say this, bad trade. Bad trade. He is a bad fit for this defense. He is a fourth linebacker at best, and he's blitzing from the safety position. So he's got everyone else is a 10-yard start on him at the linebacker position. So he can't cover anybody. He's not really sure he can tackle good, but who cares when you can't cover anybody and you're a safety? That's the whole point. And it's supposed to protect plays. So it was a very frustrating game. Obviously, the score was only 10 points, and obviously the Seahawks did the thing where they hang around. Russ does something crazy. He was throwing 60-yard touchdowns off the run. A very frustrating game. It's hard to summarize because a lot went wrong. But on the bright side, we did get Pete Carroll for 5 more years. We signed him to an extension to an undisclosed amount that the Seahawks will not reveal. I'm convinced it just had to do with an endless amount of bubble gum, just like a lifetime supply. And, just 5 years, you stick around, Coach Russ, win a Super Bowl, and we'll just hammer out bubblegum for you for the rest of your life. But overall, really, really disappointing loss. Even though I did kind of see it coming, you just want to see them beat those good teams because you start to feel like a fraud. Like I know the Seahawks are still your pick, but the year they won felt a lot different. And I was kind of getting that vibe from it at the beginning of this year because they're starting to let Russ cook. But it's starting to feel like it might be another letdown year. And I guess I'm a biased or a spoiled Seahawks fan, and I say a letdown year is losing in the playoffs. So I'm sorry to everyone else who has teams that never make the playoffs. So yeah. Oh, one more point I wanted to make. Russell Wilson needs to learn to throw to more than one receiver the entire game. We said this last week. You're allowed to throw to Tyler Lockett as well. And you're also allowed to throw to DK Metcalf in the same game. So if we could just combine that, not put the defense, our shitty defense, on the field the entire game, that would be awesome. So, Carol, write that down. That's all I got. I'm very upset.
Yeah, I'm assuming Pete Carroll at this point will probably coach the Seahawks as long as Russ is there. Like, I feel like those two will probably retire at the same time, which worked out pretty well considering the only reason Pete Carroll even came back to the NFL is because USC was about to get crazy sanctions on them. So you have two options when your coach is going to get sanctioned. You either go to the NFL, which is pulling a Pete Carroll, or you die, which is pulling a Joe Paterno. So those are really the only two options there. Yeah, I feel like if you're the Seahawks, as stupid of a view as this is, I feel like any game where you have Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett on the field, you should win that game no matter how bad your defense is. At a certain point, though, you can't ask too much out of the offense. Like, they still scored, what did they score, 34? What was the final score?
34-44, yeah.
So like, you can't ask for much more than that. But it does – I do like the Seahawks. Like, I always, I have nothing against them. I like that, you root for them. And I like Russ, so I'll root for them. It does make me happy to see Jamal Adams' defense just go to shreds. Jamal Adams, I'm a Giants fan. I just have such a vengeance against this guy. Called himself Prez. Like, I talked to him a couple episodes ago about how he was, like, locked in. Like, you're not locked in because you're wearing your helmet and watching the game on TV. You're the opposite of locked in. And you're right. He can't cover fucking anybody, which was their entire problem. Like, the Legion.
That's what made Earl Thomas so good, and Cam Chancellor. Well, Cam Chancellor was more of an enforcer back there, but Earl Thomas was able to cover everybody.
Yep. But they can't cover anybody. Like, if the Seahawks defense does one thing right, it's that they have a pretty decent linebacker core still. Am I wrong? And you're right. Jamal Adams is just an extension of that. I'm not trying to say Jamal Adams isn't a great football player, but he's just kind of an extension of what they already had. So
He doesn't fit.
I saw. Did you ever get clarity on what that was that he was like getting in Pete Carroll's face at one point? Like, remember?
No, they completely dug that story. I tried to find something like a little more legit and like actually like kind of try to find out about it, but it was kind of. I'm sure that was just a guy who's in the heat of the moment. And Pete Carroll is a guy like will talk to the locker room in private and be all like, "Hey, like I love your spirit about it, but like don't talk to me." I'm sure they settled it and hugged after.
I don't know, and I'm not trying to make it seem like I don't like Jamal Adams just because of how much he talks, because I think it could be badass when players talk and then back it up. Like, look at Richard Sherman. That guy was an absolute nutcase on the Seahawks, but he just backed it up by being like a Hall of Fame level cornerback. Jamal Adams talks, plays like 6 games a year, gets in a Twitter fight, and then like requests a trade. So like, I'm just so far out on that guy, but hopefully their defense figures it out somehow. But I don't think he's the answer.
Yeah, he's not the right fit. I'm hoping we get Shaquille Griffin back soon. I mean, he's concussion and I think hamstring too. So that's kind of just up in the air. Even the concussion you don't know about, and the hamstring injuries, are kind of hard to recover from too. So I mean, he's been playing pretty good this year. So I would love to have him back. Towards the division games that we have at the end of the year. We got the Rams next week. So I don't know. Hopefully that defense can figure it out. But I'm telling you, if they keep playing the way they have, they're not going to win. They're going to lose early in the NFC because they're either Brady's going to tear them apart, Aaron Rodgers, someone's going to find a way to exploit that defense, and Russell can only take you so far. So I don't know. I'm a pessimistic Seahawks fan first, so I'm a little disappointed. But I there is potential. I see what you're saying, but I guess we'll have to see next week.
Right.
So big news in baseball was Steve Cohen, or Cohen. I don't know why I said Cohen. Cohen.
I don't know why you just put so much.
I tried to like over pronunciate it to make sure I got it right, and it just came out weird. Steve Cohen bought the Mets officially, and I think that Mets fans everywhere rejoiced. Finally got the Wilpons out. First thing that Steve Cohen did, cleared the front office. Like he pulled that Ari Gold move where he goes into the office and he tells everyone to get the fuck out, or that one guy. So I was really happy to see that. A new era for the Mets. I'm a Yankee. I mean, we're Yankees fans. I love it when the Mets are good, you know?
Yeah, my issue isn't with the Mets. Listen, this is great for baseball, honestly. I'm a little jealous that Mets fans got to get rid of the Wilpons, and I'm still stuck with James Dolan as a Knicks fan. But listen, at the end of the day, most Mets fans are Knicks fans, I feel like, so it all works out. But
yeah.
No, Steve Cohen's great for baseball. The Mets being good is good for baseball in New York. I watch a lot of Mets games because the Yankees aren't on. They're on SNY, so I watch the Mets games. I like the Mets. I like watching them. Aside from Noah Syndergaard, who is the Jamal Adams type to me, a guy with like a lot of ability that gets hurt all the time and doesn't shut his mouth and performs mediocrely when he does play. I don't like him. But other than that, I think the Mets are, have a good, exciting core. Dominic Smith is someone I'm very high on. Obviously, you got to appreciate DeGrom. And look, they're coming in with an owner who, instead of the Wilpons running this team like they're the Kansas City Royals, who coincidentally also beat the Mets in the World Series, which is kind of funny. But, they have an opportunity to improve upon an already good core. My one thing that scares the shit out of me is that Hal Steinbrenner is going to cry poor and DJ LeMahieu is going to get a fuck you offer from Steve Cohen, and I'm going to have to watch him in orange and blue for the next 5 years, which that would make me hurt inside. But no, Steve Cohen is good for baseball. We need owners that are willing to spend. Owners that are fans, I think, is always fun. I mean, look at the Steinbrenners, or, more so George than his kids. I think it's going to be really entertaining. Honestly, I'm really hoping we can get a Subway World Series this decade. It's something I've wanted. Obviously, I was 3 years old in 2000, so I don't remember it. I think that would be the most stressful week of my entire life if they actually played in the World Series, because no matter what happens with the Yankees, my Met fan friends are the first ones to get on me for it. We could lose to the Red Sox. I don't hear from my friends who root for the Red Sox first. My Met fan friends, like clockwork, whenever the Yankees are eliminated, I get multiple text messages from them because they know I'm the Yankee guy. I like to go back and forth with them, and they just get on my ass, even though the Mets haven't been playing for like a month and a half at that point. So whatever. It is what it is, but I'm very excited to see what Steve Cohen does, to be honest with you. I think he's going to make a huge splash. I expect him to get at least 2 all-star level players this offseason.
Yeah, I agree with you. And my problem is never with the Mets themselves. I like seeing, a good New York rivalry. It's with the Mets fans. And I just think it's funny every year. They're like, this is our year. And like, I would think it would be so funny if this happens. Like, oh my God, we finally got rid of the Wilpons. We got our owner. They signed somebody, and they just stink again. I think that it would be the peak hope that they can have and the lowest level of disappointment that's possible. Mm-hmm. So I'm not rooting for that, but I wouldn't hate to see it happen.
Yeah, no, I mean that would also be funny too. I wouldn't hate a collapse, but I root actively against the Red Sox, the Astros, our actual rivals. You're not rivals with a team you play 4 times a year, 6 times a year. So, but yeah, no, going back to that, with Met fans too, it's every year, like you said, they always say this is the year. I feel like every April, the Yankees start 8-8. They're like, oh, what's wrong with the Yankees this year? The Mets are 13-3, look coming out looking crazy, and then May and June hits and they just go to shit. But no, I really do think that, with what the Mets have in place now, with an owner that's willing to spend on top of that, I think if they make the right moves, they got Sandy Alderson back in, who, built a lot of that 2015 core that ended up going to the World Series. So I really do think that they could be a legitimate threat in the National League in year 1. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest with you. I really am. Until they take if they take DJ LeMahieu, my tone completely changes, and then it's cool. But for now, I'm entertained by Steve Cohen being the Mets owner. If they sign DJ, I'm absolutely going to lose my mind.
Yeah, and actually his Twitter, that's actually his Twitter, right? I'm not being
I thought right? It literally looked so fake, the way he was.
It doesn't have the official. It doesn't have the blue check mark.
No, he's still not verified, but like the Mets have been tweeting it out, like with our owners like Steve Cohen, like so like it's him, but it's just like the strangest. Like you wouldn't expect this billionaire guy to like. Also, like why is he Stephen A. Cohen too? Like you had to use the middle initial and a number at the end. Like you really couldn't have bought the at off of somebody. I mean, I'm assuming that's just he must just not be like used to Twitter because here like that's pennies for Steve Cohen to be like, hey, Steve A. Cohen, like without the two, can I buy your account for fucking $100? Like I don't know.
If that.
Literally.
I'm sure if the guy happened to be a Mets fan, he would give it to him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think it's just like an old guy just learning Twitter. He probably made it himself. Maybe his granddaughter helped him or something. She's like, just shut up, put Stephen A. Cohen too. I just don't want to deal with this anymore. Mm-hmm. But I really like that he has a Twitter. I think he's going to be really active on it during the season. I feel like he's the type of guy that would tweet out like negotiations too, like, oh, we're really close on Lindor, like something like that.
He was doing that for the team. He was saying we're close on the deal. We're gonna close Friday or whatever, and then he's saying like, yeah, like we closed the deal. I am gonna have a lot of fun in his mentions this year because I tweeted out saying as a lifelong Mets fan, which anyone who took 0.2 seconds to click on my bio could see that I'm right for a Yankees website and probably figure out that I'm not a Mets fan. I said, please trade DeGrom to the Yankees where he could play out his core. We'll give, we could get some promising young talent like Luis Sessa, who is a mediocre middle relief pitcher. I got dozens of angry responses from Mets fans. So I'm going to have a lot of fun in those mentions this year for sure.
Looking forward to that. Okay, before our next segment, Nick and I are just going to do some ad reads. This show clearly costs a lot of money. So, we got to pay for it however we can. First one, would you have gone pro if it wasn't for your bum knee? Do you still regularly wear your varsity jacket? Talk about how you were second team all-county while interviewing for entry-level sales jobs. Well, the Dallas Cowboys are looking for you. You've heard of the legends, Dinoco, Gilbert, and next could be you. All you have to do is chip into the Dak Prescott 2021 GoFundMe for a chance to be the next starting quarterback of America's team. Exciting opportunity there.
Yeah, that is crazy. Good for hopefully some of our varsity jacket wearing viewers can get out there.
Yeah, I'm sure you only have to put like $3 in. They'll catch an email.
Can't be hard. All right, so if you're a diehard New York sports fan like I am, the past 10 years or so hasn't been great, whether it's Aroldis Chapman blowing playoff games, Daniel Jones fumbling, or the Knicks just playing basketball in general. It's pretty much nonstop stress. Well, the good news is on Election Day last Tuesday, New Jersey legalized marijuana. So I don't personally partake. I know a lot of you guys are probably interested. So there's going to be a new New York sports fan dispensary. If you pull receipts of you angrily live tweeting a game, if you bring in a TV that you broke after Chapman gave up the home run to Altuve, any proof of being a New York sports fan, they're going to give you 20% off your first order. So just prove that you are a suffering New York sports fan, Jets fan, Mets fan, Nets before they got KD and Kyrie, anything. If you've rooted for any New York sports team within the past 10 years, you are entitled to 20% off of some weed. So just go there, mention the show, and bring proof that you too are a suffering New York sports fan.
Great opportunity there.
Yeah.
Love to see that. Next one. This one's interesting. Ja Rule is coming to an area near you. Please. That's the whole ad. So Google Ja Rule. See what happens.
Are we legally allowed to provide our opinions on sponsors or?
Yeah, I think it's encouraged.
I don't think anyone's going to see Ja Rule.
Yeah, I guess not.
Search him up, though. This next one was paid for by everybody. So it says, hey, are you someone who feels the need to share their political opinions on a daily basis on Twitter? Fucking stop that shit. Sincerely, literally everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking stop.
I think I signed up for that one. Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, all right, calm down, guys. Like, just
relax.
Literally everyone just relax.
All right. This next one. This company has asked me to set the mood.
We'll get some music going, I guess, right?
Yeah. All right. Cue music. You get home from a long day of work. You have your eyes set on the gym. Then those hungry eyes wander over to the counter and you see them. Entenmann's cookies. You think one won't hurt. 2 should be fine. Then you say to yourself, fine, I'll just do cardio tomorrow. Next thing you know, you're skipping the gym and hanging out with us on the couch. Ruin your workout and your next morning with Entenmann's cookies.
Those cookies are dirty.
Yeah, oddly sexual out of Entenmann's cookies. I guess that's the direction they're going.
We gotta look into that. It's a little concerning, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad they're doing it, but it's a different direction for sure.
Are you a man that enjoys drinking Starbucks pumpkin spice lattes, but you're afraid of what your friends, coworkers, or even your mom is going to think? Well, fear not. I have a product for you. It's a fake Budweiser tall boy. So you get your pumpkin spice latte from Starbucks, and instead of coming in a regular cup, it's going to come in a Budweiser tall boy. So people are going to think, hey, look at that guy. He's so badass drinking a tall boy at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. Well, no, he's actually drinking a pumpkin spice latte, but you think he's crushing Bud Heavies. So instantly go from loser to alcoholic.
Yeah. And we are not responsible if you get fired for drinking at work.
No, if you get fired for drinking at work, get pulled over for a DUI, all better than the alternative of drinking a pumpkin spice latte out in the open as a male. So it's really a win-win either way.
Yeah, good for you guys. All right, guys, you know we're always looking out for you. So if you don't have time to place your big 7-leg winning parlay this week, check out what these guys can do for you.
Do you spend hours every Sunday trying to construct the perfect 7-leg parlay?
Ignoring your parents' request to take out the garbage to see if the Packers over might hit?
Skipping your sister's bar mitzvah because you're looking at Korean baseball futures?
Getting scolded by the priest because you're listening to the Matthew Berry podcast too loud?
Your wife sends you to the supermarket to get some pasta for Sunday dinner, but you're too busy looking at the weather report in Philly that day for the Eagles game, so all you come back with is a sheet cake that says Happy 8th Birthday Kiara, but you don't know a Kiara.
You don't know a Kiara.
Never.
And then all that research goes to shit when Kirk Cousins forgets how to throw a football?
You realize you've spent not only money, but also time on a massive parlay that doesn't even hit?
That's where we come in. Responsibly, impulsive parlays. We place your parlays for you so you don't have to.
Are we betting professionals? Maybe.
Do we have access to various sports books? Correct.
How is our internet access? Spotty.
So send us your money and we'll give you back your Sunday.
Cash preferred.
I mean, it definitely kind of feels like a scam, but I don't know, at least now, instead of placing my parlays, I remember to pick up my daughter from soccer practice every Sunday morning. Well, every other Sunday morning. My ex-wife has her half the time, too.
Yeah, I lose just as much as I did before, but I save a lot of time. How much are you getting paid for this?
We'll cut that.
So visit RIP.com, where your money goes to die.
But your Sunday lives.
Yo, we're making like a lot of money with this. You think we should actually place some of these parlays and then make even more money?